What stupid rule did your parents make that backfired spectacularly? On my 18th birthday, my parents decided it was time I start paying for living at home. There was no happy birthday, no cake, not even a card. My dad was sitting at the kitchen table with a spreadsheet in front of him, and my mom had a smile that made it clear she had something planned. He slid the paper toward me without looking up and said, "Now that you're an adult, it's time you start paying your fair share." The list he handed me was staggering, a detailed invoice for my existence. My room would cost $600 a month, utilities another $200, internet $50, laundry $20, and somehow, opening the fridge was now a $30 expense. The cherry on top was a $100 charge labeled General Household Upkeep, which, according to them, was for all the work they did to keep the house running, even though I had been doing half of it for years without a single complaint or request for compensation. Seeing the total added up to exactly $1,000 a month, I had to ask if they were serious. They nodded, insisting that it was still cheaper than the real world. I took a moment to think, then remembered a friend's spare room I could rent for just $300 a month, with utilities included, lightning-fast Wi-Fi, and no one charging me to open the fridge. 2 weeks later, I had moved out, feeling lighter and significantly richer than I had at home. At first, they were smug, boasting to relatives that I was finally going to learn how expensive life really is. But they didn't realize that I hadn't just been a free tenant. I had been their handyman, lawnmower, IT department, grocery runner, pet sitter, and unofficial Uber driver. Without me, the cracks in their household began to show immediately. The lawn grew wild within a week, forcing them to hire a service at $60 a week. The Wi-Fi went down, and instead of me fixing it in 5 minutes, they called a technician who charged $90 for a task I had always done effortlessly. When the car battery died the same week, roadside service charged them a staggering $180 instead of me just jumping it for free. By the third week, my dad had attempted to fix a leaky tap himself, only to make the problem worse, which required a plumber's intervention for $150. The dryer stopped heating, something I had unclogged several times in the past, and the repair bill this time was $200. Grocery shopping, which I had handled efficiently and on time, turned into a disaster. They resorted to ordering takeout 4 nights in a single week, spending nearly $300 more than they ever had when I was running errands for them. Even walking the dog became a costly chore. I had done it every morning, but after I moved out, they paid a neighbor's kid $10 a day, adding up to $300 in a month for someone to simply take the dog for a walk. The printer incident remains one of my favorites. Mom needed something printed urgently for work and called me in a panic because the printer wasn't working. I asked her if she had checked the paper, and she admitted they had already paid $90 for a technician last week who had told them the same thing. The other small disasters piled up. They accidentally locked themselves out of the house and had to pay a locksmith $120, and even the lawnmower blade that Dad tried to replace cost $75 to install properly after he ordered the wrong one online. At the end of the month, they finally added up all the costs of replacing the chores I used to do, and the total came to $1,500, $500 more than the rent they tried to charge me. Mom called a few days later, her voice way too sweet. "You know, if you wanted to move back, we could work something out." I smiled and told her I'd be happy to help. But at my current rate of $25 an hour with a 2-hour minimum. She went silent for a moment and then hung up. The most expensive rule they ever made was trying to turn me into a paying tenant, and it backfired spectacularly.